During the pre-game of yesterday, I told you anything else than a victory would have been a total disaster. We would have opened even more the crisis, the banter era, and probably would have taken the notebook with hashtag out to the coach, hashtag out to the players, hashtag out to the management, hashtag out to everyone. Would have been totally correct. But luckily, Juventus yesterday won. Juventus 2, Pafos 0. Today we go with a post-game, with the day after. We speak about individualities like Zhegrova. 45 minutes. What about these 45 minutes about Locatelli? Is he compatible with the way of playing, the idea of football of Luciano Spalletti? We speak about a poor performance, a big test for Fabio Miretti. We go with tops. We go with flops, we go with an advice for the Italian coach, and much more in today's video. So, ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well. You saw it for the people that were watching the watch-along or the post-game. I was not extremely satisfied yesterday. I was not even able to really celebrate the goal of Weston McKennie. A bit better, a bit slightly better at the goal of Jonathan David, because I was not happy, because I was angry, because I was ashamed of the first 45, let's even first 60 minutes of the game. I was absolutely not happy. It was absolutely not acceptable what we were watching in our home against Pafos, with all respect, and because we saw it yesterday, it's a solid team, it's a good team, but anyway, we were absolutely not doing enough. I was absolutely not happy. But you know who will do the post-game analysis? It's not Beppe, it's not you in the comment section, even if you can write, of course, but it is Luciano Spalletti himself, because after the game, he went analyzing the game, and I totally agree with every word that he said, with every letter that he said. He said it was fundamental to win. With victories, we are solving a lot of problems. There is a quote that says, winning helps winning. A win helps to win. It's an old quote, but it's always an actual quote, because when you win, you can still continue to work with a mind that is actually with a bit less pressure. You can start to see the positives, which we need to build on. So I totally agree with that, but pay attention, because then it starts. But we had to do more. I am not happy, and I'm happy that he says that, because yesterday I was not happy. Of course, a win needs to be celebrated, and we need to have a smile on our face, because winning is not always granted in a banter era moment. But he says, I was not happy, the players were not happy. In certain moments we did the minimum, something that I don't accept. We cannot, in the moment that we are in, doing the minimum. But he's underlining it. He's telling us we did the moment. And then he even says there were moments, there were situations in the first half where we were embarrassing. Then in the second half, better, because we were a bit more free with our mind. Coming back on that embarrassing moment situations, I don't know exactly what he's referring to, but I can tell you two things. That free kick, that set piece of Miretti, where just a few seconds before during the watch-along I was describing him as a maestro on set pieces when he was there with the youth academy. Yesterday, a total disaster. That throw-in at the 45th minute, with 1 minute injury time, it was 45th and 45 seconds, I believe, where you are looking around, there is absolutely nobody that wants the ball. Instead of going ahead, where you have the opportunity to maybe try something, a last one, without even fearing a counterattack, what do? You play in the back. That shows that you don't even want to play it, that you don't believe in it, that in terms of courage, you don't have it. So I was really embarrassed yesterday in the first 45 minutes. Corriere dello Sport is telling us Mac Juve, from the whistles to the party. Weston McKennie and Jonathan David, they are kind of securing the playoffs. We are not there yet. Benfica and Monaco will be played in January. Let's see if Juventus would have done already some progresses, some improvements. That's something far away. But I believe that with one win or maybe even two draws against these teams, you are qualifying to the top 24. That unfortunately is the target, is the objective in that Champions League, to see who we will face in playoff. But that's something for later. Let's focus again on what happened yesterday. Mac Juve, from the whistles to the party, because correctly so, at the end of the first half, there were a lot of whistles to the entire team and to what they were offering, to the performance or non-performance that they were showing. So they totally deserve these whistles. You know that I am against whistles at the beginning of the game, during the game, because you're not encouraging, and yesterday Spalletti said it as well, we need a support from the people. We need that extra push, but after the first half or after the game, if they don't deserve to be applauded, then they deserve to be whistled. I totally agree with that. Party, it's maybe an exaggerated word, but yesterday we did what we had to do, 2-0 winning it. We started with a 3-4-2-1. Spalletti said, I had another idea, but I was a bit scared to take away from them some automatism, looking back at what he did against Napoli. So he wanted to give them security, a security that actually didn't pay off. A 3-4-2-1, where Zhegrova played 45 minutes. I believe, and I don't want to stay too long on it, that now we really understand for people that every single minute during lives on Thursday, like this evening, again, 10 p.m. with Turin Giants. So be here or in the comment section or on social media. We're saying we need to see Edon Zhegrova from the first minute. If Spalletti is not doing it, it's because he's a coward, like Igor Tudor, like the coach of Kosovo, like everyone. Because Edon Zhegrova, we can tell you, we are sure that he has more than 45 minutes in the legs. Yesterday we saw why. Because you played a mediocre game, entire Juve. You are in non-possession in some moments. It's a more tactical game because you have more meters to cover. At the moment, he doesn't have it. Does that mean that he's a bad player? Absolutely not. He's a fantastic player, but he will need to be managed. 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, growing physically. Yesterday was a good training session for him to be tested in 45 minutes. So we postponed the judgment of Edon Zhegrova, hoping that really soon he can deliver what he's able to deliver in the last moments of the game, also with a bit more consistency and being a bit more dangerous from the first minute. But yesterday Zhegrova didn't do well. That 3-4-2-1, where you see that the intentions of Juve to have that possession, to play, to try to be also extremely high with your entire team, with your entire block, is working, because Juventus yesterday in that first half were not suffering that big huge pressing from Pafos. We're not really in danger. We were playing, we were trying without finding any solution, without having the last third. We were absolutely not able to communicate with each other. I told it yesterday, it looks like we were playing a charity match with people that never played together. It was really a disaster yesterday. And then, of course, if you are not dangerous, if you are not able to do, you are waking up the opponents that at a certain moment, and you see it in the momentum, decided to try something. And when they tried, where we were really exposed, we were really in danger. The post, some headers, Di Gregorio that went with some beautiful save. Yesterday was dangerous. But then we go towards the second half and the changes of Spalletti. Yesterday there was a big discussion on who is MVP. Some people said Kenan Yildiz. Some people said Conceição, some people McKennie, some people Jonathan David. There were a lot of names, some people Kalulu. I must say that it's the change of way of playing that actually helped Juve a lot. Zhegrova out, Conceição in. Yes, we can say that he changed the game, but it's actually the fact that we went towards a 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1 that was possible because of Pafos, because they were not pressing, because they were not high. So we had more possibilities to play a bit more higher with our left and right back that were in that occasion Cambiaso and Weston McKennie. Not sure if we will be able to do it against Bologna, but that's something that I come back later on. So that 4-2-3-1 was really much better. The idea of Spalletti for the future. What did he do? Because in the first minute, it's not that we saw something spectacular, but at the 60th minute, he's putting out Manuel Locatelli that honestly, if we are going towards the midfielders, the individualities, he was actually the best one. Between Miretti, McKennie and Locatelli, Locatelli was the best one individual, because he was going with some interceptions, with some sliding tackles, always going with a work ethic and effort that is absolutely not matched by the other ones. He was everywhere in defensive phase yesterday. The problem is, and that's something that I said yesterday, that's something that I said on Thursday, that I'm saying since a few weeks, I don't believe, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that Locatelli is compatible with the way of playing for Spalletti. And it's not a coincidence that at the 60th minute, when Spalletti says we need to now accelerate, we need to be a bit more precise. We need to keep that ball and not giving to the other ones. We don't need 2-3 touches. We don't need to think, but we need to accelerate, to play with velocity, to also be unpredictable so that we can do something against Pafos. He's taking out Manu Locatelli. What is the move? To put Kalulu and Kelly as center backs, to put Cope Manners in the midfield together with Miretti. Two players that technically are better than Manuel Locatelli. I'm not saying a better player, I'm saying technically better than Manu Locatelli in terms of how they see football, how they play vertical, how they are always looking for something on top. Then that they are missing, absolutely yes. Yesterday the game of Miretti was not good, and it was also said by Luciano Spalletti that said, ragazzi, in respect of what I am asking from the team, we are not there yet. It's not enough. I took away Yildiz, hoping that he's also recharging the batteries to be ready against Bologna. But then in terms of individualities, Miretti needs to grow. Adic needs to grow. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time in training session to train them, to bring them at the level of what I am asking. This team, and that's where he doesn't speak about the individuals but about the team, needs as soon as possible to be put at the level. Unfortunately, we don't have time, so we need to be patient and to go piano. Also speaking about that 4-2-3-1, a player that yesterday scored was Jonathan David, that after the game says, I'm here to score. What did I say yesterday when I was celebrated? Go back and clip it if you want. I said, bravo Johnny, this is what you're paid for. Exactly what he's saying after the game. I'm here to score. But he says it was difficult to enter, to be involved, to adapt to Serie A, to a new country, to a new football, to a new team. Like I say, it starts with hugs, which I really didn't like in the last few games. You remember that Coppa Italia game where nobody's going to celebrate him? Well, it starts with hugs to make sure that he feels that he's part of the team. And yesterday I saw a Conceição, a Yildiz and an Openda going to Jonathan David to celebrate him, and then even more important, Luciano Spalletti. And that was important because in the last few days we heard him in press conference, we heard Marchisio, we saw the performances of him not playing against Napoli from the first minute. It was important to go and to make sure that he feels important. And look at that hug where Jonathan David is not smiling at first, and then it starts also. I don't know what Spalletti told him, probably he didn't even understand him, but he started to smile yesterday, and that's super important. Probably for me, the most important image. And you remember what we told you when we spoke with Lille supporters, they told us Jonathan David always the same. From August to December is the worst player on earth. Then from December, January on, he becomes R9, so hopefully he can become like that. Bremer, il ritorno a Bologna. Bremer will be back in Bologna, maybe for a few minutes, and starting against Roma. This is the plan for Gleison Bremer. Flop, top, and advice. I tell you. Flop, to me, Miretti. Miretti had a beautiful opportunity yesterday and he threw it away because the game of Miretti was extremely bad. Does that mean that it's over? No, it's not over. Spalletti said it himself. He has qualities, needs more minutes, needs more football, needs more time. But Miretti, we don't give up. But yesterday, objectively speak about the game of yesterday, was absolutely not enough. Cambiaso, again, another extremely bad performance of Cambiaso. To me, the worst one on the field. Extremely bad Andrea Cambiaso. At the moment, he's a bit lucky that we don't have a lot of solutions. We come back on that in a second. And then for the tops, I want to say Spalletti, not an MVP, Conceição, Yildiz, McKennie, the one that scored, Jonathan David. No. For me, the changes of Spalletti, because he said I didn't have the courage after Napoli to change too much in the beginning of the game, but then understanding the game, understanding the opponent, said, I change. And he changed, and hopefully understand that this team is made to play differently than that 3-4-2-1. That is not working. I have nothing against the 3-4-2-1 that is working at Napoli, for example, against Juve or in other teams, but at Juve, with these men, it is not working. Then Jonathan David, I wanted to put him with the tops, not MVP, but with the top, because yesterday he has two balls. One, he's totally missing it on that header from Kelly that goes as an assist. He's totally missing it. And then there is the other ball where he's extremely cold in front of the goalkeeper, 1v1, where you remember we spoke about it when Conceição missed it a few games ago, and the day after Neres was scoring it with Napoli against I don't remember what team. I said this is what we need to do. One-on-one, you need to be goal, and that ball needs always to go into the net. Well, yesterday he was putting in it. I will not compare him to David Trezeguet, to Higuain, to a lot of big, huge striker that we had in the past, but this is what I'm expecting from a scorer. 2 balls, 50% is in the net. And with that 4-2-3-1, I'm totally sure that from 2 balls that he had yesterday, they will become 3. They will become 4. They will become 5 opportunities. And then if you go with a 50% accuracy, well, we can say that Jonathan David could potentially go with 2 goals per game. So hopefully he can do that. The advice for Luciano Spalletti is pay attention. I hear you since a few weeks now saying I need a center back with right foot. That is Gleison Bremer. We are waiting for Bremer. We are waiting for Bremer to go definitely towards that 4-man defense. Attenzione. Start working already on a B plan. That B plan can be like yesterday, Kalulu next to Kelly with Gatti as a right back, or Kalulu right back with Gatti. I don't know. Find a B plan, because at today I cannot guarantee 100% that Bremer will be consistent. Also to Comolia, find a player that can play in that center defense with a right foot. I don't know who, I don't care who, but help Spalletti in that mission, because if we want to go towards a 4-man defense, but the only player that can allow us to do that is Bremer, and Bremer is not at 100%, we have a problem. And I don't want to go back then towards the 3-man defense from the moment that Bremer is not there. Yesterday he revealed us his plan for that 4-2-3-1, that he's saying, yeah, I want to go towards that 4-2-3-1. But he said I need a right foot center back, something that we just spoke about, because Kalulu must do the right back. I told you yesterday, the idea of Juve is that Kalulu is a right back. That's the position where he will shine even more. He's not the one that we saw in the first half, that I really liked that for consistency, but yesterday Pafos, like other teams, they totally understood that if it's Kalulu that needs to build the game, we have a serious problem. That's also why I told you in that first half, Locatelli compatible, not compatible. Locatelli yesterday, when in the first half we were there, he was not building. He was doing the defensive sacrifice and recuperating ball, but then the one that was building yesterday was Kalulu, and then we have a huge big problem. That's not the role of Kalulu. Kalulu is the one that we saw at a certain moment in the second half, taking ball in the back, doing and carrying that ball for a few meters before giving it to the one that is unmarked. But that's the idea of Spalletti. And then pay attention, Cambiaso, he spoke about Cambiaso, he said he's an offensive player. He must defend, but he is going in difficulty when he is defending. So he's not 100% satisfied about Cambiaso as a left back, as a right back, as a defensive player. And yesterday, when we saw Cabal entering, I know that a lot of people were extremely angry, but at the moment, we have 3 possible solutions if we want to go with a 4-man on the left. We have Cambiaso, we have Cabal, we have Kostic. Kostic, after 2-3 beautiful performances, disappeared. Cambiaso, we are still waiting since a year for a beautiful performance of him, and Spalletti is telling you, he's not that player. He goes in difficulty when he needs to defend. So that's why he is insisting at today for Cabal to reintegrate him, to give him a bit more trust, to give him a bit more self-awareness that he can do it. Waiting probably for the Mercato. Waiting to the Mercato to understand if we can find maybe another left back, because at the moment it's not working. Maybe instead of looking for a right player on the right side, where we're all thinking about, maybe we're really looking for a player on the left, because the other ones are not working at today. Another thing that was significant, and speaking about compatibility of Locatelli, is that at a certain moment Thuram enters. Where does he go? On the right side. Next to who? Next to Kopenhagen. And who goes a bit more up? It's Adzic, because that position should be in the idea of Spalletti, Miretti behind the striker, next to Yildiz, next to Conceição. That move of entering Thuram on that right side will not be spoken about, but to me it's really significant, because we can see not only the way of playing of Spalletti, what he wants to go for, but also already the men. He told us, Kalulu on the right side, Bremer and Kelly as center backs. Question mark for the left back. Thuram and Koopmeiners, because Koopmeiners is already the second game now that he's playing in the midfield after starting as a left center back. Koopmeiners, Thuram, there. And then you play with Yildiz, with Fantasia, with a striker, and could be Jonathan David, especially if he's transforming himself in a R9. Let's see, I'm really curious now. Bologna is waiting on Sunday at 8:45 p.m. Will we see already the four-man defense from the start? I'm not sure. I am not sure. It could be that we transform in the game. I am not sure yet because we don't have the man at disposal to do it, according to Spalletti, but then let's see. We will have time to speak about Bologna-Juve. Now I really want to say thank you for your patience, for listening to the post-game of Juventus Pafos. Grazie, forza, Juve.